Hello everyone, myself Untitled. Today we are going to discuss about growing of bitter gourds or karela. It's a very simple vegetable, highly nutritious, little bitter in taste. That's what most of the kids they don't like to eat, but we mothers we don't leave them like that. We try out such recipes so that somehow or the other it enters into our kids' body. So, the bitterness of bitter gourd is basically because of the phosphorus content in it. More phosphorus and more bitterness is there, but it's highly nutritious. So, all of you must grow this, and let's start the process of growing it. So, as you all know, the bitter gourd basically in India you can grow throughout the year. Mostly from the month of Feb till October, November is the right time to grow this. And a very easy vegetable, does not need much care. So, you can grow sometimes if you have seeds obtained from the market, that is also fine, or sometimes we get bitter gourds from the market and they are over ripened. So, you can take out the seeds from that, and that can also be sown and grown. The main thing what you have to take care while growing bitter gourd is few steps I will be telling you, so that if you take care properly it will be easier for you to start the process. Now, when you see bitter gourd seeds, the outer shell is very hard. Okay, so if you just sow them directly in the soil, so it might take 10 to 15 days sometimes to germinate. So the best thing is when you see the bitter gourd seed, one side is little pointed and the other side is little roundish. Okay. So, make sure you take the seed and just cut the rounded part little, so that the inner part is visible and the upper shell is slightly cut. This helps when we soak the seeds in the water, this helps the water to penetrate inside the seed and the germination becomes faster. By this process the seeds you can say they'll germinate within 4 to 5 days. Okay. Now, once you have soaked these seeds overnight, you take out the seeds. Generally the other seeds we prefer to sow them in the seed tray, but for bitter gourd I prefer to sow them in a smaller pot, either this or little smaller than this is also okay, because this plant till approximately 3 to 4 inches it does not bear any leaves, and after that they will start bearing leaves, and as I always say there should be minimum 4 true leaves should be there to transplant. So if we sow this in a seed tray, so this much height the seed tray cannot bear properly and the plant might get ruptured. So make sure the first step is cutting the tip of the seed and growing it in a separate small pot. Now, once the you can say the sapling has grown with 4 to 5 nice leaves, now this is the time when we can transplant them to a bigger pot. Now, what kind of a pot we have to take for bitter gourd? As it's a creeper, any creeper variety, I prefer to take a broader container than the deeper one. So, for this bitter gourd I have taken this you can say fruit crate, so which is broader compared to the deeper one. So, the roots gets enough space to spread because it has too much of fibrous roots also, and the holding of the plant will also be good if they have space to spread. So, now we will talk about the potting mix. Now, for potting mix you have to take sand, soil, compost and coco peat. All these all four things should be in equal quantities, plus just a handful of neem cake, or you can get neem powder also, whatever you get it in your area, that you can make it and mix it well, and then you can fill your container. Every time I make sure that the base of the container should always be filled 1/3 with the twigs or the dry leaves, so the drainage of the pot is really good. Now, once the potting mix is ready, we have filled the potting mix in our tray, the container. Now, it's the time to transplant. So for this big size container, you can have minimum 1 and maximum 2 plants, not more than that. Okay. Now you just, as I every time say, you just flip the thing, tap it, and then take out your plant and plant it in your container. Now this plant, it does not like too much of moisture, so control on watering from the very beginning itself. If the watering is too much, then also the leaves starts becoming yellowing, so the plant growth will not be there, root rot starts happening, even the fungal attacks will be there, the leaves will have a powdery mildew. So make sure from the very beginning only the water should be controlled really nicely. Now as you see, the plant is growing. Initially 15 to 20 days you don't have to give anything to the plant, because the potting mix what we have prepared, it has sufficient amount of nutrition which this plant needs for its growth. But as you people know, this is a creeper, so staking or a firm support is definitely needed from the very beginning. Otherwise all these tendrils and all whatever the delicate part of the stem is there, it might get ruptured. So staking or a firm support you give from the very beginning. Now one more thing what I want to talk to you about this creeper variety. Any creeper variety, as it grows, the first branch, now when this will grow, this will become the first branch, the main branch. Okay. So this main branch, how much ever it will grow, maximum it will bear male flowers. Okay. So as we are growing in the pot or a container, we don't have that much space, so that the creeper let the creeper keep growing, and later the female flowers it will bear. So we want, we have limited space, so we want all the fruiting and everything to happen in a smaller stage. So make sure once your main stem reaches by approximately 5.5 to 6 feet, you pinch the tip of the main branch. So what will happen when you pinch the main branch after reaching a sufficient height, then it will help its secondary branches to grow. So always allow all your creepers to spread horizontally then vertically. So all the secondary branches whatever it will bear will have more of female flowers compared to your main. This main branch will bear more of male flowers, and these will have female flowers. Okay. So that is one thing. Now when we talk about the fertilizing, initially 15 days I told nothing to be given. After that weekly once you can give compost, 1 handful compost, and the main problem in this plant is it gets attacked by powdery mildew, and sometimes fungal attack will be there. So make sure every 15 days soap nut solution spray should be given to this plant for a precautionary measure from all the pest attack. Now once you see the flowering has started happening in the plant, now this is the time when this plant needs more of phosphorus. As I told you earlier, it is bitter because it has more of phosphorus content in it. So definitely while growing or becoming this size or the good quality fruit, it needs a good amount of phosphorus. So this is the right time when we have to add fertilizers, which is in the form of either you can have these banana peels, you can dry them, cut them into pieces, and you can mix it in your soil, or you can dry them, powder them, and you can give it to your plant once in 10 days, or you can make liquid banana fertilizer, peel fertilizer also, that is also fine. So apart from this you can give rock phosphate also, that is also a good source of phosphorus and potash. So this is the right time when the plant has started bearing flowers, so you have to give phosphorus and potash. Now what happens when the plant is bearing flowers and it has a good amount of pollinators, you can say the insects, bees and all are coming, and you have kept nice flowering plants with that, so there will be a good pollination. Sometimes you have to make sure that if the pollination is not happening, we have to do hand pollination also. So that also I will make a separate video to make teach you how to do hand pollination, so it will be easier for you. So that is one thing. So approximately 3.5 months your bitter gourd is ready to be harvested. There are different varieties of bitter gourds available in the market, the round ones, the longer ones, the smaller ones. So the method basically is same for all. The major problem what people feel while growing bitter gourd is that in the smaller size, when they are small only, they are getting ripened or becoming yellow. Okay, so the major reason for this can be, you cannot specify one single reason for why this is happening. There can be n number of reasons why this is happening. The main reason what it is there, sometimes the sudden change in the climate. Suppose you are staying in an area where there is no rain, or all of a sudden too much rain has happened and your plant has got too much of water suddenly, or you are watering it too much, keeping in mind that the plant needs water, the soil is too dry, too much excess water you can say. So if excess water is goes to the soil, for especially the bitter gourd, this is one reason for becoming the fruit yellow. The second reason can be lack of pollination. Sometimes we see the smaller flowers with the small bitter gourds, so we think that these are bitter gourds, but they are the embryos of the bitter gourds. Until unless the pollination happens, they are not going to convert it into a proper bitter gourd. So sometimes lack of pollinators, or you can say lack of pollinator plants you have, so the pollination has not taken successfully. So that also is the reason. This is the embryo stage only, this starts ripening and it will fall. Now one more reason is sometimes fruit flies. In the change of season, when one or two rain comes, so that is the time these fruit flies, they lay their eggs in these tiny ones. Okay, so because these are little on a softer side, so they'll just go pierce hole and they'll go inside and lay their eggs, and their eggs will automatically grow as your bitter gourd grows inside this bitter gourd only. So for that, either that's what I told you earlier also, that every 1 week to 10 days we have to keep giving spray of soap nut solution, or with adding few drops of neem oil also. So this is a precautionary measure. So because of that smell, that you can say fruit fly and fruit larvae will not lay its eggs in these things. Or one more problem is there. Suppose sometimes if you see, you take your bitter gourd, if it is becoming yellow, you just touch and see. If it is too soft, sometimes it's growing little and it's becoming pale and yellow, and it's little on a softer side, means it's a fungal attack. So for that you have to spray some fungicide, otherwise all the fruits in no time they'll become like this, because they spread widely like anything. Or you get yellow, you can say yellow sticky traps, sheets you get. So if you hang near to any of your creeper variety or your bitter gourd plant, so sometimes the flies or the fruit flies or the insects, harmful insects, they get stuck to that and your plant is saved. So this is about growing of the bitter gourds. Now sometimes the people have a query that when to understand that the bitter gourd is ready to harvest, because suppose if you take this, it looks like this from last 1 week only. So you have to observe it properly, that when the time for harvesting comes, the color it changes little at the down part, it becomes little lighter. The time you see that this color and this color is little different from each other, that is the right time to harvest bitter gourds. Now you can just have a look for my plant, the bitter gourd, how it is growing and how the vertical. Now this is the vertical. Yes, so you have seen my plant, how I have trained my plant near the little pillar kind of a thing is there. So after reaching one height, approximately 6.5 inches feet height, I have stopped the growth of the main branch, and the other two branches, they are spreading on the horizontal way. So always make sure all the creepers you train them growing horizontally, because the secondary and the tertiary branches will bear female fruits, so more flowers and more fruiting will happen. And I think everything is covered in that. In case you have any doubts, you can write in the comment section, and always read my description box, because some tips are there which I'll share on the description box also. So thank you for joining me. Thank you very much.